I'm going to talk about an original patented idea that revolutionizes black and white printing. So this is our menu for today. We're going to talk about why there's a need for such an invention, what is the idea, how are we going to accomplish it, and what's next. So first of all, the big problem is having to use ink for printing. Why is it a problem? First thing is prices. Ink just simply costs too much. So the price per milliliter of ink costs more than human blood. It's actually the second most expensive consumer liquid directly after perfume. And since all of us here use smart printing, we don't really have to really be concerned about ink prices. There's also, because we're citizens of this planet, we also have to care about our environment. There's severe environmental costs related to the usage of ink in transportation, manufacturing, and the disposal of ink. So you guys are scientists, you prefer to see numbers. There's 60 to 80% of ink cartridges that go directly to landfills. Are they biodegradable? Not really. It takes at least 1,000 years for an ink cartridge to fully decompose. Your average laser printer produces 100 pounds per year of waste. So if you're telling me that we're going towards paperless offices, we use screen more often, well, that's not what the marketing projections are saying. There's an increased demand for black and white printing, and in fact, it's projected that by 2024, there's going to be a 224 increase in digital printing. That goes with the population increase and everything. And most of the printing jobs are in black and white. So how do current laser printers work? So for all y'all electrical engineers in the house, it's a lot like soldering. So you have your toner powder and your laser as your source of heat and your paper. So what happens is you're melting the toner powder onto the paper, and once it dries up, you have your printed material. Inkjet printers are kind of more boring. They work just like how your regular gel pen works. You have the ink with the color or black pigments dissolved inside. You shed the liquid onto the paper and it dries up, and voila, you got your printer. So what I'm proposing is to have an inkless printer. So we would eliminate the use of any kind of consumables, no toners, no ink, no nothing. You say like, oh, how are you gonna do that? Impossible, possible. I say, why not? So my idea is to to have a surface reaction on the paper that converts the surface into carbon. So we do not really need to penetrate into the paper much. It would be in micro scale, and we would only have to or carbonize 20 to 30% of the paper surface. So to do that, I'm using the basic three kind of laser interactions with materials. So when you shine your laser onto something, it's either reflected, transmitted through the material, or absorbed. And in the case of initiating a reaction by heat, we need it to be absorbed. But what the problem is here is that paper is very picky, so it refuses to absorb most of the spectrum. All of the visible light is being reflected because it's white. And the spectrum that is absorbed by the paper lies in the infrared range, which is why I'm using a carbon dioxide laser that has 10.6 micron wavelength. So if you're telling me, oh, you're burning paper, you're creating CO2, you were just advocating the environment, and now you're contradicting yourself, well, not really, because we need to understand how solid fuel burns. On the left, you can see a cellulose structure, which is the major composition of paper. When we want to combust it, it combusts in three steps. the drying, when you take out the H2O molecules of the structure, the pyrolysis, which is turning it into charcoal, char, carbon, whatever you want to call it, basically the black material. And the third step is the char combustion. So what we want to do is to make it fast enough to stop at the second step after we created the blackened material. So we would create carbon. So how I'm doing this, how I'm performing my experiments and optimizing the process is that I'm controlling the moving speed of the laser along with the power, and I'm trying to balance between them to create the darkest shade possible on the paper while maintaining the paper quality. I'm also controlling the distance from the laser to the paper. This is too light to use. Okay, so my samples are basically these different spots due to burning the surface of the paper. And then to characterize those samples, I'm also using the characteristics of light, but for a different purpose. So my spectroscometer enables me to see how much these shades are absorbing from the visible light. So the more it absorbs, the better my results are. So I would get kind of results like this that compare the percentage of absorptivity compared to wavelength. My lighter samples have kind of on the lower side of the curve, and my darker samples get closer to 1. So what's next for the inkless printer? Well, first of all, I want to characterize this material and know what kind of chemicals are produced exactly, like is it carbon, is it graphene? And then I want to see what kind of laser characteristics I can use to create the exact good depth for the paper. So I'm trying to reach something like this rather than that. And lastly, I need to conduct kind of a visual experiment to know how deep do I have to go into paper in order for the printed material to be visible by the human eye. And of course, the long-term material is to completely replace ink cartridges. Thank you.
Come to the right person.
This is like a preview.
So you're using a continuous wave or a pulse?
A continuous wave, but there
Why?
are options to use pulse. So like I have both options in the machine. I'm using a laser engraver, and the CO2 laser is just the built-in type of laser using. So.
Okay. Can you do this with a normal laser printer?
Not at the moment, because laser printers don't like. I don't think they use CO2 lasers. They use more kind of low-powered lasers, so they're not enough to burn the surface of the paper.
So how much energy do you need?
So I'm using a 75-watt laser, and I reduced the power a lot. So I'm working in the range of 20%. So I think that I can do it with a 20-watt laser.
Is that energy efficient?
Well, it's like at the moment it's not, but I think that it could be optimized because like I'm using a huge machine that is used to engrave different materials, but I feel that if I create a product that only creates the right wavelengths to deal with paper and not with a wide range of materials, I would be able to lower the power requirements.
Okay. A lot of the paper has a coating. Why don't you have a coating which you can print on or facilitate the printing?
So I'm trying to avoid that because I don't want it to be inconvenient to use special paper or to have any kind of replaceable material in the printer. So the current printing business relies on, okay, here's a cheap printer, but then you would have to pay a lot of money to replace ink, which is not very financially viable. And that's the kind of the alternative that
It's financially viable for the printing company.
yeah, well, these are not my friends.
What is the advantage of this with the electronic paper? I mean,
So different types of paper?
no, the electronic ones, like that you, for example, that you use draw basically.
Oh, I think
What you
that's it's meant to confuse people. It was actually like to just explain to you how lasers printers work. So I thought of it that it's very similar to how electrical engineers use soldering. So that's why like I labeled them differently.
What is the advantage basically? Like, because like we have right now like electronic paper, the one that you use specified on the wallpaper what do you want to see, and it will create like this pattern of color in that dot. White, black and white everywhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be in black and white because I can only convert the cellulose into carbon. That's kind of a limitation that I have, that I can't go to color. Maybe in grayscale.
More questions?
Yeah.
Thank you, Maya.